Your information station. WTIM.
Welcome to the WTIM Morning Show. I'm Avery Cooper. Your stream brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark. Find those streams at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com's Facebook and on YouTube at WTIM TV. I'm here in studio with Prairie Trails Conservancy board member Steve Dennis. Welcome to the program, Steve.
Well, thank you.
And also Vice Chairman Bud Altman. Great to have you here, Bud.
Hi, Avery.
So, remind everybody, what is the Prairie Trails Conservancy program?
We're actually a nonprofit formed in 2017 to advocate for the Lincoln-Prairie Trail, our local bike trail.
Which is the trail that runs from Taylorville to Pana, and then there's a bridge that separates those two.
Right. The bridge was the issue that got us going 5.5 years ago.
Right.
But there are a lot of other issues, and we deal that we're dealing with, and have, and that's what we've been involved with. Of course, a lot of other things too. We basically advocate for active transportation, and of course, the trail is the main part of active transportation for us. And we're doing lots of things. One of the things we're going to focus on now we can talk about the bridge, possibly on the next time we're here. It is in the works. It is going to happen. But one of the other things we're working to develop is a working relationship with a lot of community groups to get people not necessarily excited about active transportation, but just aware of it. Anytime you're moving under your own power, you're involved in active transportation. And I think the public needs to be informed of this. And there are a lot of things that we're doing to that end. And one, of course, Steve is more actively involved in that. He's our board member that is leading the way on that sort of thing, although we all work together. And so I like for him to tell you all about what's going on here.
Yeah, so go ahead, take the floor, Steve. Tell me a little bit about active transportation.
So active transportation, as Bud mentioned, it's all human-powered forms of travel. So you're talking about walking, cycling, skating, skateboarding, all of those type of things. And it's not just the trail, it's also within the community itself. And so there are several ways that active transportation improves. So it improves the health of the people in the community. It improves mobility. So folks that don't have cars, they have other options for getting around within the community, getting to the grocery stores, to the drug stores, any of the other merchants in the community. We have, with active transportation, we also participate with a 501c3 organization called Ride Illinois, and they are an advocate within the state. They have multiple programs. Besides advocacy, they also are involved in education. They provide information for building trails, trails like ours, or trails within a community. So one of the things that they have done also is they focus on the education. And education can be things as little as, what are the Illinois bike rules? So they have a handout that we've passed out at some different events, including the Healthy Kids at the Y a few weeks ago. And they also provide bike safety quizzes. They work with school districts. So they have what they call a mini grant program. And with that, they can focus on both elementary, middle school, and as also kids learning to drive, so that they become better educated about bikes and the rules for in the community. So we have found them to be very helpful. And as Bud mentioned earlier, we've got the trail, but we also want to focus on improving the routes through town to get to the different retail areas.
So creating active transportation routes such as bikes, walking trails, etc., to be able to get to the Walmart or get to the other side of town with ease rather than, having everything driven is basically the goal here.
Right. With ease, with safety, and that also helps to reduce congestion. Not that we have a lot of congestion here in town, but there can be a little bit. But it also makes your neighborhoods a little bit more, I don't know what the right word to be. I don't want to really say friendly, but with that interaction, you become more involved with folks in your neighborhood and the locale. So it makes it a better place to live.
Yeah. I would hope so anyway. That's the goal, right? Anyway, well, Bud, I know you are really focused on having the Lincoln-Prairie Trail Conservancy program involved in the community more and more. Sure. And I've seen you guys do it. Like you guys mentioned, you guys were just at the YMCA, the Healthy Kids Day. Right. And so tell me a little bit more about your aspirations to be more involved with the community as part of Lincoln-Prairie Trail Conservancy.
Well, something that we've done in the past and will certainly do in the past or in the future is work with other public organizations in the area of getting kids started right on bicycles. And of course that involves what's referred to as a bike rodeo. We've had a couple of those in the past, and I'm thinking probably we're talking to a couple of community organizations about working with them on probably sometime later this year, possibly after school starts. It all depends on which organizations are working with. And but anyway, and what happens at a bike rodeo is basically they learn. They get a copy of the handout Steve has there on the Illinois rules of the road for bicycles. I think anybody that's on the road for any reason should know those rules. And Right Illinois is tying that idea together with their training program. They have training programs in basically 3 different areas, and one of them involves there being in driver training, driver education. And that's very important because there are a lot of people you see around town and of course out on the roads too who really don't understand what the rights of a cyclist are. And it's with the proliferation of cycling, actually cycling went way up when the pandemic set in, but actually as it seems to be easing off some, that we haven't seen a reduction. People got into cycling and I think a lot of them realized, hey, this is a pretty cool way to get around. And the federal government noticed this idea a long time ago. That's the original program was about what they referred to as complete streets. The streets are owned by the public. They're for the public to get around on, but they're designed for people in vehicles. Mm-hmm. And so in small towns, small populated areas as we live in, that's difficult because there's not a lot of width on the roadways to make the streets safe for everyone, or to make them just to make them complete streets. That was the term that the federal government used. The federal government is funding active transportation in general at the highest level it ever has. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act provides more funding for active transportation facilities than this is the highway reauthorization. That's done every 5 years. Anyway, the Infrastructure Act we have now has more money in it for active transportation than has ever been offered in the past. And so the government is encouraging municipalities to get involved and make their streets safe and provide these facilities. And we have one of those facilities that's already there, so it doesn't need to be developed. It just needs to be updated. And it's 21 years old, so it does need some help in that area, in addition, of course, to the bridge.
Right, and that is the Lincoln-Prairie Trail. I want to reintroduce you both, and then we're going to take a break, come back, continue our conversation. That's Prairie Trails Conservancy Program Vice Chairman Bud Altman, along with board member Steve Dennis, right here on the WTIM Morning Show. Your stream brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, on Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark.
WTIM.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn higher, beans higher, wheat trading higher at this hour. July corn 7.67 up a dime. September corn up 7.29 3/4. December new crop up a nickel 7.19. July beans 17.50 1/4 up 22. August beans up 18 1/4 16.72. November new crop 15.65 3/4 up 16. July wheat 10.77 1/2 up 5 3/4. September wheat up 6 1/4 10.90 3/4. July bean meal 422.10 up 4.70. July bean oil 82.90 up $1.46. In the livestock market, June live cattle 135 even up 127. August feeders 173.47 up $1.02. June lean hogs 108.25 down 17 cents. In the energy market at this hour, August Brent crude oil up 20 cents 120.77. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
The weather is heating up, and so are the good times at Los Rancheros Mexican Restaurant in Taylorville. Stop in today and enjoy fresh margaritas, delicious food, and live music all month long. Come try their street corn, grilled corn tossed with lime, mayo, and queso fresco, all topped with queso fresco and chili lime. Yum! Dine indoors or soak up the sun outdoors on the patio. Come for the authentic Mexican food, stay for the live music and drinks. Los Rancheros Restaurant in Taylorville. Adios!
Local, local, local. For 26 years, Just Beds has been your local mattress store for 26 years, featuring locally made Bemco mattresses like Arctic Breeze and Max Life. That's a lot of local helping local. And all this month at Just Beds, you'll save big on Bemco. Twin mattresses for just $149. Queen mattresses just $229. As always, free delivery, setup, and haul away. Locally. Thank you for supporting Just Beds for 26 years. Keep buying local, friends. See the Yawn Exterminators at Just Beds on Montvale and Springfield.
Just Beds.
Rolling Meadows Senior Living is accepting applications for residency. Rolling Meadows offers seniors 62 and older a smoke-free facility with round-the-clock maintenance, controlled access, large kitchens with full-size appliances, on-site laundry facilities, complimentary Wi-Fi and common areas, and resident computer center, just to name a few of the amenities offered. Call 217-287-2450 to schedule an appointment. Rolling Meadows is sponsored by Lutheran Social Services of Illinois and funded through U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and Federal Home Bank of Chicago. Rolling Meadows is an equal opportunity provider.
The Cardinals Hall of Fame and Museum is the official home of Cardinals history. For those who want to be a part of one of the sport's greatest collections in the world, museum membership is the way to go. Cardinals Museum membership provides unlimited admission for 1 year, exclusive Hall of Fame bobbleheads, discounts, ticket offers, and more, in addition to supporting exhibit design and artifact restoration. There are a variety of membership levels, including our ultimate level of membership. For more info and to join, go to cardinals.com/membership.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome back to the WTIM Morning Show. I'm Avery Cooper. People's Bank and Trust is proud to bring you this stream on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com's Facebook and WTIM TV YouTube. They put people first, along with Landmark of Taylorville. You always do better with Landmark. I'm here in studio with Prairie Trails Conservancy board member Steve Dennis and Vice Chairman Bud Altman. Before going to break, talking about active transportation and the benefits of such. One of the benefits we didn't get to is the economic benefit of having a small town with active transportation really available for everybody. I mean, Steve, you know a little bit about that. You just went on a trip to Iowa.
I went with 6 other people, and we drove an average of about 6 hours to get there. Spent 2 nights, so we had 4 hotel rooms. You've got breakfast, lunch, dinner. First day we rode not quite 24 miles. Second day we rode about 12, 13 miles. But this is an annual trip for our group. And the group also rides actively throughout different times of the year. So the thing that we're looking for are these great trails. And this is the Raccoon Valley Trail out in by Des Moines. There were, like I said, 6 people, but we're from Wisconsin, Champaign, Naperville, Taylorville, and we've got some money to spend. Now we've got this great trail in Taylorville. We've got the Historical Society. We've got a Lincoln tie-in, and we get this bridge in. We've got from Taylorville or from Pana, either one, but you've got about a 14-mile or so, which is a good ride if you go both ways. You got a good stopping point in Awanaco. You got a new business in Awanaco. Things can really help to improve.
Yeah.
When you get done with your ride, you want to take a little turn around the town, see what the shops are. You got an opportunity for people that have disposable income.
And that's what you're hoping to attract here with active transportation, people with disposable income to be able to spend in the local community.
That's right.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Bud, we only have a few minutes left. So really wanted to talk about some of the rules of the road for bicyclists too.
Mhm.
Generally speaking, these roads, as you mentioned, a complete road or a complete
streets
is,
yes.
is the term the government uses. And that's that's because everybody should be able to use that
equal
street.
access and safety for all users,
right?
Whether they're on wheels or on foot,
right?
Basically,
and so in short, the bikes can use the roads too, but the way Taylorville is set up at this point, a lot of other small communities, not just Taylorville, is there's not very much room for those bike lanes and stuff like that.
Right. The transportation system was originally designed for motorized transportation, and the Complete Streets movement is there to help transition to that complete streets. They don't want to knock any transportation, any kind off the road, but make the streets good for everyone who wants to go from point A to point B. And what the efforts are being put toward now is making streets safer for those people who aren't behind or in front of a motor. And it's difficult, but it can be done. You can make it. You can't unless you completely separate the traffic. You're never going to make it completely safe. But you can definitely. There are a lot of things you can do to make it safer, and so that's where a lot of the effort is now. Bike lanes. You mentioned that during the break. Bike lanes have their specific measurements that are required in all of this, and that is 5 feet wide. And one on each side of the street, and we don't have a lot of streets that even would accommodate that now, and the infrastructure cost would be huge in order to make that possible. But what we can do is bike routes, and just the bike route signs, the big green signs that say bike route and have an arrow, where those signs actually make motorists aware that there may be cyclists in the area, and it's proven. They've done studies on it. The traffic slows down when you put up bike route signs. Also, the drivers themselves, and there's less research on this, but the drivers themselves see the bike route sign, and it puts the idea of riding a bike in their heads, and that's another aspect of it. But there's so many different things that go into this whole concept that we really we have to break it down and have people concentrating in various areas, and that's kind of what we're trying to do. Obviously, active transportation will get a really big boost here once we get the trail put back together, because I know for a fact there are a lot of people that came here to ride this trail. From it's 14.6 miles, and that's if you don't venture into Taylorville and you don't venture into Pana. And touring cyclists, as the experience that Steve described, touring cyclists. Anyway, that happens a whole lot, and we had a lot of touring cyclists prior to the bridge being closed, and we just don't have them now.
That is Prairie Trails Conservancy Vice Chairman Bud Altman, along with board member Steve Dennis. Thank you both so much for taking time out of your day to come on here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Avery.
WTIM.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylor